consumers didn't do their misdig on Cole Street and Parrish had a power line. So.
Oh, well, you've had an interesting day.
Yeah, it's been great. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brittany, that's probably the way it's going to go for most of the construction season. Right now, they're up about 35% in mistig locates throughout the state. So it's going to be a slow go.
Yeah, it's we were kind of surprised by it. Sorry, I gotta take this before our meeting starts.
What's that all about, Nick? Being 35% missed that they're not getting the right dig or location.
Well, no. So what's happened is there's so many people that are doing projects that the number of tickets coming in. Last year was a record-setting year, and they're up this year between 18 and 30%, depending on what utility you talk to. Good afternoon, Mr. Bud.
Hello, just definitely a lot going on. Our fiber project and just everything.
Yeah, my emails are slow getting in today. Is that because you guys, Jeff?
Nope.
We can't blame it on you?
Nope, not this time.
Oh gosh, I usually try to blame things on you, but I can't do it.
Yeah, I know. I appreciate that, bud.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Looking out for my best interest. I appreciate
That's not what the radio station said. The radio station said it's because of the city. They were doing their fiber upgrades today.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, we did have a little outage a little earlier, but there was a power outage, Central Business District, but up and running again. So I'm not sure squirrel got in there or what. I haven't heard yet. But hey, I think we have a quorum now, so we will get started.
Hey, Jeff, just so you know.
Yeah.
Nikki was on, but she couldn't hear anybody, so she went down to get Sheila. I was not able to get on my laptop, so I am on by my phone down here in my office.
All right.
So there's more issues at the city than what Jeff knows about.
Yeah. Always. Now, Nick, does it scare you at all that Cameron and Austin are going to be in the same town?
No, I spent Saturday with Austin, and it's just amazing, as they grow and they get older and more responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
Truly, not that I not liked spending time with my kids, but it truly was a great day to have adult conversations. And so that's good. That'll give Austin a couple more friends that live there that he can talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. He's kind of got it narrowed down where he's looking to live and being able to walk to Plant Moran. So I think he's looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
we're down there.
You said Austin and adult conversation in the same sentence.
I know, isn't that amazing?
He's a good kid.
Sometimes people say that about me, so I get it.
The one thing that broke my heart, we were watching the Cubs play at a little tavern having some lunch, and I was watching the game and I said, Austin, do you miss that at all? And he just looked at me and said, Dad, I really don't. And
really?
That just broke my heart because I miss going and watching him play and following him. And so it's harder on me than it is on him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's what Cameron, we've got 3 more and then the tournament, and Cam got done with fall ball this year and it was like, how do you feel? And he's like, satisfied. And so, I think, but I'm going to be losing my mind.
Yeah, that will change.
I hear you.
I'm at the age grade. Oh, go ahead. Never mind.
Sure. Oh, I think we have everybody, so we'll just get started. So not to shut you off, Audrey, my apologies. So we'll go ahead and call the roll. Nikki?
President Budd?
Here.
Vice President Mearsman? Brandon? Oh, you're muted, Brandon.
Follow up with him later. Go to the next one.
Okay.
Oh, there he is.
Member Baker?
Here.
Member Norman,
Here.
Member Butler,
Here.
and Member Kruminski.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum.
I just
the
want to make sure, I'm sorry, I want to make sure everyone's in Branch County, correct? Located in Branch County? Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, we have a quorum. The next item is our consent agenda with the minutes that were pre-posted as well as the financial statements. Unless there's no other questions, I'll take a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by
Support.
Kaminsky, do I have a second? Second by Brittany. All in favor, please say aye.
I gotta-
I'm
I
sorry,
gotta-
roll
I gotta do roll call, yeah.
Roll call. Sorry.
Vice President Mearsman,
Yes.
Member Baker,
Yes.
Member Norman,
Yes.
Member Butler,
Yes.
Member Kruminski,
Yes.
and President Bud.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I also skipped public comment, so I will jump back. Is there any public comment? I see Don Reed would be the only public on the phone. But is there anybody else, Sheila at all? For Pat, whoever's monitoring?
Thank you.
Sheila or Pat? Is there anybody else monitoring? Sheila? Bob? Whoever is there. Well, we're gonna assume there's no public comments, so
Can
we'll
you
just
hear me now?
moving forward. Yeah. There you are, Sheila. Go ahead.
Okay, so sorry, technical difficulties. I do not see any public comment.
Thank you. All right. Noted that there's no public comment. We'll go into any old business from the group. Anybody have anything? Seeing none, we'll go right into new business. The first one is the bylaws discussion. So just a little history on the bylaws a little bit. So I'm going to blame this a little bit on Nick. Nick has graciously, through MGU, agreed to make a contribution, which one of the things that we required was to provide a signed bylaws for the grant from MGU. So we looked and we could not find a signed copy. However, we finally did locate a signed copy. But the bylaws are really outdated. And I think the discussion is, one of the things that says the Village Union City, obviously there's some things that need to change on there. We also currently only have 6 members. Do we want to leave it at 7 or those type of things? So with that, I think those are the main things that we really feel that we should probably update the bylaws to kind of reflect the current makeup of the board, as well as make any other corrections that any other board member has. So with that, Keith, Lisa, or Nikki, do you have anything else to add?
No.
Just from, I guess, staff's perspective, I think having that 7 number was nice. It kind of helps avoid any ties. Whether that has to be municipality, obviously we've had that where whoever was on the board helped to donate towards that, but I don't know if we want to look at another entity make it 7 and or a person at large. Not sure what Keith and Jeff, what your thinking is on that.
It really doesn't matter to me. This group is typically always in lockstep, so I don't know if it matters so much if it's 6 or 7. We can leave if we find somebody that wants to join and be a 7th director and wants to bring money to it, I think we would always say yes. So I think we can leave it stated as 7 and just leave 2 at-large members. Is that what I'm hearing you say, Lisa?
Yes, I think that's what she.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay.
Jeff, does that if you change everything, does that pose an issue if Union City decides in a year that they want to get back involved? Because wasn't that the conversation at that time was right now, we don't feel the direction is helping us?
It was, which I think we could always add them back as a at-large.
Okay.
If we needed to at that point. It wouldn't preclude them from getting services from the Growth Alliance. It would just preclude them from serving as a member of the board.
Okay,
So we, I mean, if there's something going on in Union City, I don't think we'd say, hey, we're not going to help you. I'm pretty sure we would still, because this is all about regional economic development. But they just want to have a voice on the board.
okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
And also too, looking at the original bylaws, I don't know if they were in the 80s or 90s, I can't recall now, but they had 9 members originally. And in 2005, you took them down to 7. So I guess it could always change if need be, if there's more members that want to come on later on.
Yes, and to your point, Nick, anytime we have anything within the county on an economic development issue, whether it's retention or recruitment, we are always involved in what we do through the Growth Alliance regardless.
Okay, yeah, so I guess I see no issues either way, whether we go to the 6 or we have that 7th one at large, however that looks.
Yeah, we could leave the 7th one vacant until we either decide to fill it or somebody steps up with the real interest of wanting to join, be a member of the board. So, but for now, I'd say we will. So I don't think there's a lot of changes that need to take place on this. We will be glad to do the legal stuff and redraft these. I think unless somebody says something else, I think the only thing that needs to change is we'll strike the Village Union City as the member and just put, just like it says, the 7th director. I think we'll put the 6th director will be selected by majority of the other directors. So it just kind of fills that in, or maybe it's, I don't know what the legal, if we say 2 at large to be elected by the majority of the other directors, probably makes more sense than listing them all out.
Well, I can have Megan help me. I do know that we do have to change our articles of incorporation as well if we make changes to the bylaws. So
Yeah.
I'll have her help me do that.
So, I don't think there's a lot of opposition to this. I mean, it's kind of like some things we have to do. Does anybody else see anything that they would like changed or that is outdated and needs to be corrected? Brittany, Brandon, Nick, Bud, anything? No? Okay.
No, I don't see anything.
Yeah, I see nothing.
Okay. So basically, are you saying, can we submit for the grant the prior signed copy bylaws for now? Because that's what they are. They currently are what they are. And then at our next meeting, we'll have a draft. We'll have the red line versions of all, and then just formally adopt them at that time. Does that work?
So
everybody?
Nikki, are you saying that when you applied, it was saying that you needed to have the bylaws?
I actually gave that on to Lisa. It was a little bit more cumbersome than what I thought it was. So Lisa has actually been working on that. I thought you said we needed the bylaws.
You don't, Lisa, you don't have to attach that. You can avoid that process. You should be able to submit it without that. And then just work on the bylaws when time permits.
Thank goodness she's muted. You're muted.
Darn it all. Lucky you. Also in regard to that, it was also for another entity that we were looking at possible partnership with on some scholarship conversations about retention and recruitment. And so we needed to have a signed copy, and we didn't. That's kind of how we found out we didn't have one. And then through the application, we thought, well, we better figure that out. So yeah, combination of not having them sign. And I think actually Nikki brought it up at maybe the last meeting that we weren't able to find any of these bylaws that were signed.
Yeah. So you might not
It's
need
also-
it for Nick's thing, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
you shouldn't need it. You shouldn't need it for the MGU grant. You should be able to proceed without that. But I do think it's a good idea to update them if we don't have a current set of bylaws.
Okay. Audrey, you were going to say, I'm sorry.
Yes, the signed approved bylaws are also an RRC requirement for all of our development related boards and commissions, which this would be one.
Okay. So why don't we come up with some red line updated versions, have a legal review. And so I think we got the questions we really needed answered as what the pleasure of the board is. We'll leave it as 7 members with 2 at large. And, we'll see if we can fill it or go from there. I think I'm probably looking for a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Support.
So, motion by Baker, support by Kraminski. Roll call vote, please, Nikki.
Okay, so we actually have, so we're gonna leave us 7 members, but we're just 1 at large right now, because we have to add Nick, we'll add Nick to this list. Is that correct?
Well, I guess that's a good point. Do we list Michigan Gas Utilities, or should it just be 2 at-large members? Really, I don't know if we should really list out any member by municipality type. We don't have to, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess I'll have, like I said, I'll have Megan assist, but I'm not sure either.
Okay, that's a good question.
It says right there that each of the governmental units that are identified appoint a person to the board, so, or represent that governmental unit. So you've got to still, unless you're going to have 7 at-large positions, you still would identify the other 5 of us, and then 2 at large.
All right.
So I just say we just have this discussion right now, nothing voted on until maybe next meeting where we bring the red line version back. Is that okay after I talk to Megan and see what she has to say about everything?
Yeah,
that
we can
okay?
do it that way. Yeah,
Okay.
I guess we don't need a vote necessarily, but I don't think anybody's against changing them and correcting them. So,
Okay,
so we'll bring a new updated red line version for the next meeting. So, with that, I think we are now up to get back to my agenda. I think we're up to the economic development update. Lisa?
All right. I'll kick it off and have Audrey jump in here on anything that I have failed to put down here. So we are, as always, this quarter have been working on expansions, potential expansions. Still have 3 companies that are possibly considering that. And we're working with them and with the state of Michigan if that's something they choose to move forward with. We're also working with restarting the retention and recruitment calls via Zoom right now because the state is also not allowed to have in-person. But I'm working with Brenda Stewart, and we put together a couple of lists for the whole county and have coordinated times to where we're going to be going in and creating Zoom calls and doing those retention visits that way. So that's good. We need to get back on that, and we can't do it in person, but we can still touch base. Working extensively on housing, both throughout the county and also downtown in vacant square footage in the 2nd and 3rd floors. Looking at single family housing, anything that we may or may not be able to do in a 280 and below price point. And then really working on promoting those incentives to renovate those 2nd and 3rd floors through the state, through their CRP program and their rental rehab program. So we had worked this last quarter extensively on the 600 West proposed housing development, and the council had declined to move forward on that. So we are still working on other locations. We did have a RFP submitted for Project SALT. We've not heard back on yet. And we have a review always of all and any RFPs that come to the MEDC on whether or not we are qualified to apply for those. You know, sometimes they say Wayne County only, and that obviously we would not apply for that. We have technical assistance, a large amount this quarter, assisting local developers, again, calls with MDARD, Michigan Department of Ag Rural Development, on ag investing grants. We've got 4 potential projects applying to the MEDC, and we have some companies that are looking for specialized training and working on getting any information out that we have in regard to technical assistance out to those companies. We have twice sponsored the Chamber of Commerce event Takeout Tuesday. This was an event that was done to spur sales to our local restaurants throughout the county. And I think it was a pretty successful program. So it was nice to be able to sponsor something directly to help our businesses. Obviously, continuing with our partnership meetings with Southwest Michigan First, meetings with RRC, Main Street, really trying to make sure that we have our public participation plan and working on planning and zoning for those RRC processes. And then also still connecting with Southwest Michigan First as at those regional meetings, figuring out what's going on in the region and housing, and retention of talent are the two themes. We also are looking into summer population swell estimate. We see this as a, just sort of like even knowing how many cars cross US 12 or how many employees do we have access to, people do we have access to within a 40-mile drive time for our economic development efforts. This summer population swell is not an easy number to come up with, but it's pretty important when we're looking to recruit and retain businesses about where they might be able to market to. And the fact that we don't have it really doesn't give us a very good or an accurate idea of what our population is during that 6-month time period out of the year. So it seems to be something that's just not out there to be able to grab those numbers. Audrey's been working on that. Audrey, do you want to jump in and talk anything all about that and what you found out?
Sure. Well, I can tell you the approach I've taken thus far and kind of how thorny it has been. So after reaching out to the lake associations and some other individuals, we kind of landed on maybe one way to go about collecting that information is to geographically target homes on the lake chains or lakes in general in the community, and then look at those which do not have a PRE. And then from there, possibly using some sort of square footage calculation to estimate the number of people that might contain in the summer. And then also reaching out to campgrounds to see what their rate of, turnover is in the number of spaces that they have. The difficulty that we've run into is that only one of the smaller lake associations, I think it's Rose Lake, has numbers already on that. And from all of the assessors that I have talked to and the companies in charge of assessing for all of the townships where we have lakes and lake chains, can really only share an aggregate list of data that shows any home within their jurisdiction that doesn't have a PRE or does have one. So I'm not really sure how to comb through that data in an efficient way yet, but we are starting to get our hands on some of the raw information that we hope to find a better way to parse through than to look at every single non-PRE home in all of the townships. So, but we've started chipping away at that.
Thank you. Any questions for Audrey on that specific piece? All right, and so also this quarter, and we do this quite often, but we go through and try and update our Zoom prospector and our website updates. And so we've had several changes that have need to be done on that. And that always seems like it's kind of a moving target, or we find something where it's like, wow, when we go into our website, we go into these different pages. And so we will change something on what we think is everything. And the next thing you know, we'll find another list of a name that's not supposed to be on there, or a piece of property that hasn't been pulled off. So constantly perusing that. We should be getting another meeting soon on this corridor improvement for US 12, working with that Intersect Studio on coming up with a plan, and also working with MDOT. And we have members from the council, the planning commission, the DDA, staff, MDOT, and then community members at large that are looking at really a master plan on what we want to see downtown and what sort of infrastructure changes we want to make, and then be able to, once we have that plan in place, as staff changes,
We're losing you, Lisa.
changes, we have this, real this nice outline. And then
One way to cut her off. All right.
Audrey, you want to join in, fill in the gaps for her, please?
Okay, I'm not sure where she left off. I think she's talking about the corridor improvement planning.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, we are working with many stakeholders within the community, whether it's
Can
boards.
you hear me?
Oh, maybe she's back.
Ha, ha, ha. Can you hear me?
No, not very well. Kind of having an accordion effect
Can you hear me yet?
on your sound. You can try one more time.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So weird. Why do I have the worst
All right,
time whenever
No.
I'm
We're
in
muting
City
Lisa.
Hall?
Audrey,
Explain
Audrey,
that
pick up.
phenomenon.
We're gonna mute her.
How about now?
No.
You can hear me now?
Nope, we're gonna mute you. Go
You
ahead,
can hear
Audrey.
me now?
This
Audrey,
has been voted off.
can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, so corridor improvement planning to identify large or projects that can be prioritized over time and funded for. So we have like Lisa started to mention, City Council, Planning Commission, the DDA, city staff, and residents involved in that process and feedback in preparing concepts. So I believe we have another meeting coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks that will be scheduled to look at preliminary ideas, designs, and possibly costs as well. So, and then the last section she has included here is downtown specific work that has been taking place. Again, listing corridor improvement. We just kicked off a newsletter in April that we hope to be monthly as another way to increase outreach and sharing information with business and building owners and stakeholders in general. I've kind of quietly added in City Council, Planning Commission, and other boards and commissions to that newsletter. If you'd like to be added personally, let me know and I can. Since not everyone is from our community, I hadn't quietly added in you guys yet. So one project that Lisa has picked up following kind of our visit with Sturgis about a year and a half ago, and then also some recent programming through the MDA conference, is retail ordinance discussions and looking at examples from other communities about how to structure local ordinances to promote retail in the very long term. Obviously not making any changes to what people can do currently, but starting to look at how I believe they consider it programming and promoting certain uses over time and how to be friendly to those uses essentially. So I attended the MDA spring conference virtually. Had a lot of great content that I won't dive into right now, but if you have any questions about that specifically or like copies or of the presentations, I think I can share those via a link and some of the handouts. So just let me know if you'd like those. We've also met with CRE Consulting Corps at Keith's request, which is a nonprofit group that once you submit kind of a project scope to them, will basically give you a quote on helping tackle specific development projects that are particularly challenging from your community. And they work with people throughout the country. Basically, they pull in professionals from different fields and tailor an approach for you. So I have not yet submitted that application, but it's something we're looking at just to kind of see what additional assistance might be out there for tackling larger developments. We have several facade projects coming up that have applied or that we've working with. I think I have at least 1 or 2 more to add to this list since Lisa submitted it. There's a lot of activity starting up again, which is nice, given that last year things slowed down tremendously. And we've had at least 7 inquiries and tours over the past few weeks. I know Tim is going out again this week and has 1 or 2 others. So that number will be growing for the next quarter. And lastly, one of the projects I'm kind of working on quietly in the background deals with the social district for town. I've had some logo work kind of drafted at this point, and I've also talked with the police department and some of the business owners, done a lot of comparing to other communities and looked into some of the logistics of what it takes to put together a comprehensive management plan for that to present to council at some time in the future.
Okay, thank you. Lisa's now joined me so she can hear and you just can't see her. So, but I'll make it, you want to see her. She's over here. So there she is. So anyway. And Bud has to step away at 2:20. So just, he sent me a text, let me know that as well. So, Lisa, is there anything else on the Taylor's building that you can share or Keith or someone else?
Yeah, have gotten our numbers in from Intersect on how many apartments can go on the second and third floor. We're gonna be presenting that to the BDA next week. And kind of some ballpark figures for that. And so that's gonna help us update our RFQ and send that out to potential developers. So it's moving along nicely. Nice to be able to have those numbers and be able to look at it and understand exactly, instead of making a developer do all the legwork on it.
And Keith, the Milnes, the lost apartments, those are all filled up as well, correct?
Yes. 50 units.
They have a waiting list, or are they?
I'm not sure. The leasing agent was out for 2 weeks, but she had expressed, Dean and Audrey and I took a tour a couple of weeks ago, and while they had filled up, then they had a couple transitions, but so I don't know how long, if any, that there's a waiting list. But.
Thank you. Anything else or questions of Lisa, Brittany, Brandon, Bud, anything, Nick? No?
No.
All right, thank you. I think the next item on the agenda is community update. So I'll start with Nick. Nick, you got anything to report to the group?
We are just obviously early on in our construction season. We did have contractors working most of the throughout the winter months just because it was such a mild winter, but nothing major going on right now. We have some larger projects that we're looking at, but nothing has been set in stone. So that's about it for Michigan Gas.
So do you got any big construction this summer in town or no? Mostly out of town?
Yeah, mostly out of town. Everything that we had in town was pretty much completed. We just completed the quality campground project 2 weeks ago, got all that tied in to remove a high pressure line away from a high consequence area. So as of right now, unless there's some relocates due to government projects, we don't have anything major planned here in Coldwater.
Okay. All right, thank you, Nick. Brittany, what's going on in Quincy?
Things are moving forward with our Market 1858 project. The sheds, the retail sheds will be delivered, I believe, the first week of May. Jepson Electric is running our electrical, so that's good. What else do we got? We had 2 new businesses open up in town. Well, one in town, one out of town. Refuge Coffee, which if you haven't been there, is an amazing little coffee shop. I personally visit it every day, so that's where most of my paycheck goes. And then Barry's Caddy Shack, and then we have 2 new that will probably open within the next month or so. Nutrition Express, which is outside the village limits, and then our second marijuana dispensary provisioning center, Joyology, will be opening. They just sent me their paperwork to review so that they can open up rather quickly. I worked out a trade agreement with the school. They're giving us just under 7 acres. We're putting in a temporary road for the time being, for a land swap so that we can put in 26 housing lots. So we're working on developing a plan for that. Lisa, I might have to hit you up for a little guidance. And then just working on RC. We're just kind of coasting along, being quiet. And that's all I have.
And how's your first retail marijuana facility going? Is that causing any disturbance? I'm just curious more than anything else.
So no, they're actually really great people. I will say that the only issue is the parking. They do not have anywhere near the amount of parking that they need. I believe they have 7 total spots. One of them is handicap, which is all the ordinance required for their building size. However, we had to have a nice conversation about parking patrons at other businesses and blocking the car wash. And so that's been a little tricky to deal with, but they did get new management and she has been amazing to work with. And she's very headstrong and wants to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing and not causing any issues. And I can't say their average week is between $40,000 and $60,000 in revenue. So it's good for them. I'm hoping they remember me when I ask for donations. So
Are they, where is it exactly? Is it located?
So Consume, the one that we have open, is right next to Quincy Collision. It's in between Quincy Collision and Lightning Quick gas station. And then Joyology will be right next to Eddie's Stop and Go, the gas station, the larger gas station in Quincy.
So they're gonna be right across the street from each other, almost basically.
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, and the weird part is Consume is not worried about it. Not to put my little plug at Coldwater, but we've had many conversations about the amount of centers that are going to be opening in Coldwater. I want to make sure that we still retain them because it does bring people into our town for dinner, and even the gas station. It's still supporting our businesses, and even private parking PDAs happen. So the collision center is happy about that, but they're not worried about it. So they're excited to have Joyology open. The thing that they Consume has told me is, well, let's be honest. If you have all the Lakers come up to our 17 miles of chain of lakes, and they're going to want to go and get provisions after a day on the lake, they're not going to want to drive to Coldwater where there's more police officers. And to which I say, I guess I'm going to have to hire more. So
Yeah.
that's they're not too worried about it. They're excited. No issues other than just the parking.
Have you noticed that most of it is out of state or in state?
Yes, I will say a lot of the patrons that go there, for the most part, I would say it's probably 60% Michigan, 40 out of state.
Gotcha.
We do know when they're out of staters coming in. My husband and I were coming back from Coldwater for dinner the other night, and we were following this car. It's like 8 o'clock. They're following the speed limit all the way from Coldwater, using their turn signals, 10 and 2. And I looked at my husband. I was like, they're going to the shop. I know it. It's an Indiana plate. And he's like, no. And I'm like, I guarantee it. Nobody follows the speed limit on 12 between Coldwater and Quincy. We know this. Sure enough, they went right to it. So,
Well, good. Go ahead, Brandon, you got something to say? I'll let you go. You're next.
So we have a CDBG grant this summer, used to be called the ICE grant, that we're redoing storm sewer, portion of water main, road, curb and gutter, as well as service lines. That'll start probably in May. We have a pre-con for that on Friday. The D&L tooling building was bought, and that's now F&B warehouse, where they sell Home Depot returns and other similar merchandise. And I believe Great Lakes Fire Service bought our Consumers Energy building. That's all I have.
What is Lisa wants to know what that is?
Great Lakes Fire Service?
Yeah.
They do insemination for cows and other animals.
I don't know about.
Yep, bull semen. You can say it.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess you're not, oh
How
well.
many employees do they have?
I don't know.
You got at least one.
Thank
Yeah.
They have another location. They mainly wanted this for distribution, storage, and they're running out of space for their freezers. So I'm not sure how many employees they plan on having working out of that building.
All right. Anything else, Brandon? If not, we'll go to Bud before he jumps off the call.
Nope, that's all I have.
Okay, Bud, what do you have?
We have the jail that's about 78% completion. That's scheduled to turn that over to us on September the 30th. After that, we'll do a commissioning where we just go through and check everything, make sure it's within the specs. And then later on in the year, the sheriff is looking at the possibility of doing something with an open house so that people can get an experience or a walkthrough of our facility before we put it into operation. We're going to have a public hearing on the airport ordinance. Some of the concerns that were generated from the airport manager was the ability for ingress and egress with obstacles that surround the airport being trees and keeping those in compliance so that we could use all the runways. And that public hearing is going to be on April the 30th at 2:05 in the afternoon if anybody's interested in that. We have MDOT that's going to come and talk to our board, and they just basically give an annual review where they go over the projects that are taking place in and around Coldwater. And they're also going to talk to us about 69, that 23-mile project that's going from Charlotte up to Lansing. We're doing a communications project with our 911, and I think that's affected just about everyone in the room has participated in that, or your municipalities or areas have participated in it. Nick, we've tried to use Michigan gas as much as we could, but some places we have to use propane. So if you guys will get the line out there to where we're putting in those towers, we'll use more Michigan gas.
Well, we would certainly appreciate that.
Yeah. So that's all I got, Jeff. Thank you. You're muted, Jeff.
Keith, thank you. Keith, up to you.
Yep, you've heard a lot of Coldwater centric updates, but just a couple more. RUA, the Rail Users Association, we formally submitted a grant application to the rail division of MDOT to do a big rail refurbishment between Coldwater and to the east of Quincy for that 10-mile stretch. So we're hoping to improve and upgrade the rail line to further service industry anywhere between the west side of Coldwater to the Hillsdale Branch County line. And we currently have about 6 industries, a couple over in Quincy and the other 3 or 4 here in town that utilize that, but this will allow slightly faster speeds and also bear higher weight limits so that shippers could bring larger cars and ship their freight more efficiently. One of the big projects in town this year will be the refurbishment of 2 of the corners of Four Corners Park. That's scheduled to get underway after Strawberry Fest in the middle of June. And then we also have a number of road projects, one of which is started now right out my window on North Monroe Street, but we have Western and State, and we have Sauk River Drive, and we also have US 12 that MDOT will be repaving through June and July from the west side of the city to Michigan Avenue on the east side of the city. But that's enough for you.
So on the DPU side of things, obviously we're continuing with our fiber to the home project. It is below budget and ahead of schedule. We're hoping to have all the main trunk lines done by this end of the year. And then obviously just hooking up customers will still probably take a good 18 to 24 months by the time we get everybody hooked up. So that project's going well. The only other major construction project we have is we're redoing some water main on just to the east of Waterworks Park on Michigan Avenue, doing an upgrade in front of where the old Michigan truck was, or Michigan Gas, I should say. So Nick, you're going to be tied up. They'll be mostly in the right of way, but there'll be a lot of construction right outside your window. So that's all I have. I think that brings us to the end of the group. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to discuss? All right. Thanks, everybody. We do have to do a last public comment. Sheila, is there any additional public comment?
I do not see any, Jeff.
Thank you. So noted, there's no public comment. So that leaves us to Lisa Miller wants to say something else.
No,
So-
I was waving goodbye.
Oh, geez, that's a shock. All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And with date of next meeting, Nikki, is to be determined.
Yeah, probably thinking maybe July. I'll email everybody and see what their schedule is midsummer.
Very good. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. We
Thank
are
you.
adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.